Built-in storm shutters, for example, can withstand winds of 180, 190. You look for masonite block-built homes, or homes, that are hotels, I should say, and also ones that are up a number of feet by our instruments that I carry with me. We're about 22 to 24 feet above sea level where our rooms are. So we're significantly away, and the idea here is not to become part of the story. The idea is to tell the story. So that's what we're doing right now, Julie. If you look at the streets earlier before the sun went down here in Key Largo, they're empty. A lot of people actually listened. They got out. They left. There are some still here. Most that did stay had places to go. And the few that didn't found locations like this, that is a category-rated hotel. We had a chance to talk to one of them. Take a listen.
Well, we couldn't get out. Our flights were canceled. We got stuck. We'd be stuck in Fort Lauderdale. It wasn't worth it. And where can you drive? You can't drive anywhere. So, we're here.
Yeah, there were a number of people like that we met over the last 2-3 days here, Julie. They said, hey, we have no place to go, and it's going to go through the whole state of Florida. We knew people that we met here that went over to the West Coast, to Naples, to Fort Myers, and they had to actually evacuate a second time. So some people said, look, I'm glad I stayed, but everyone's still uneasy here. As we saw the conditions before the nightfall on the other side of the island, Julie, just 1 hour ago with you, you saw how bad it was there. I'm now feeling the same type of turn up here on this side. The rain's picking up. You can see the wind move the palm trees a bit more. As it starts to swirl around, it's starting to hit the backside of this island. And again, as we heard from Adam, we have a number of hours until that island. Eventually smashed into a rock jetty down the way. I know it's here behind you. You can't see now because it's night, but right before the nightfall came, when we got back over here, you could see the lights and you could see the sailboats just teetering out there into the ocean. People tried to anchor them down. You can't pull all of them out. It's just not possible.
No.
And so what happens is those anchors start to drag, and that's the worry. Is if that water, when it does come, Julie, and the higher it goes, the more likely it's going to go.
Actually, safer anchor than more. Decided to tie them up to docks because no lines or no dock is going to sustain the amount of beating that this storm is going to hang down on the keys. But interesting to note, there's storm surge rather than flooding, as you said, the water recedes that quickly. That's how important people need to heed the warnings about evacuations. Adam Mosley in Key Largo, we'll go back to you. You stay safe as well. Thank you so much.
Well, amazing to think about how many people left Southeast Florida and came to Tampa thinking they were going to get out of the way of everything. In the end, that may or may not be the case, because Miami may be spared a direct hit from Irma. Category 3 storm shifting west, as you can see on the map, but the city far from safe. Life-threatening conditions expected for some. Irma's outer bands already whipping Florida's southern coast. We do not know how those new high rises will stand this storm. Joe Wagner is there to find out live in Miami. Joe, good evening.
Part of downtown Miami area known as we actually landed here in Miami on Wednesday. bone dry, but we're getting some of those outer bands periodically. This has been pretty steady now for about the last 20-25 minutes, and I'm just taking you on a little walk here to show you the power of storm surge. Behind us, we can't really show it to you because Phil's camera is going to get deluged. Let's see if we can do it. That is Biscayne Bay, and water is starting to overflow the banks there. It's about a 3-foot bank, and this is going to be the result. And this, keep in mind, Bill and Julie, we don't have the hurricane even close to us yet. Has not made landfall, but this parking lot is starting to fill up with water, and that is going to be a major problem. So again, when we first landed, it was all about the wind. We are starting to feel those winds, 50-mile-an-hour plus gusts for sure right now. But the other issue was storm surge. We are certainly going to get that. The major concern on top of that now appears to be the rainfall. They're saying we could get 20-plus inches of rain. This is another spot that's slowly...
Then I decided to have my DNA tested through Ancestry DNA. It turns out I'm Scottish. So I traded in my lederhosen for a kilt.
I'm pretty handy around the house, but now that I have kids, I don't want to spend a Saturday installing a toilet or fixing an air conditioner. Thankfully, there's Home Advisor. A Home Advisor helps me find the best home pros in my area to handle any kind of project. They have verified reviews of the pros, and they do background checks, so you know you can trust them. You can compare prices, look at brands, and Home Advisor is completely free to use.
Go to homeadvisor.com and download the free app.
Florida Keys now starting to feel the effects of Hurricane Omlet. rescue operations once that storm has come and gone. Captain Hilly McDermott, a commander for the Florida Coast Guard, could have the work cut out for you, Captain. What are you monitoring now, and what do we need to understand?
So we're watching the top of the storm and pre-freezing operations where we pre-position people and equipment and we put them in safe locations to basically head out and assess damage and help those in need as soon as it's safe to do so.
Okay. Have you gotten any calls for help yet, Captain?
Actually, there is a current search and rescue case off the coast of Sarasota, about 50 or so miles off the coast, and that is currently being worked by the Coast Guard.
And what is that situation, Captain?
That was somebody that went out in a boat to basically evade the impact of the storm, and their boat had a failure, and they're stuck out there without the ability to get back in.
Well, are they going to be okay?
That's our effort. That's our goal. And, in any other case, we're going to take every effort we can without putting other people in harm's way to bring those people home.
Yeah, understood. Captain, can you tell me how many people are on that watercraft?
I don't have that information right in front of me, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. And also, do you know, was this a result of mechanical failure, or was this a result of the incoming storm?
It was a mechanical failure.
Okay. Captain, I really appreciate your time tonight. Before I let you go, we're going to keep an eye on those folks off the coast of Sarasota. But boating is a way of life in Florida. And what happens to that way of life when you see this monster lurking to the south?
Well, I understand that it's a way of life and how important it is, but I think the sanctity of your own life and your own safety is a whole lot more important. So I would strongly recommend that people see their local authorities and stay off the water when we have a storm of this proportion.
Great message. Thank you, Captain, for your time. Good luck to your men and women. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, to the U.S. Coast Guard, everybody on the lookout for that. Julie, back to you now.
That's right, Bill. And the president just now responding to the looming threat from Hurricane Irma, tweeting just minutes ago, heed the advice of Florida Governor Scott. If you're in an evacuation zone, you need to get to a shelter. There's not many hours left.
Well, it's been his message for some time, right? Hurricane Irma now moving toward Florida, prompting these mass evacuations. As storm clouds start to roll in, Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis grew up in the Tampa area. He's on deck to talk about all things Irma. That's on the other side of this break. So we will be right back as our coverage continues from Tampa and New York City.
This is a story about mail and packages, and it's also a story about people. And while we make more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country, we never forget that your business is our business. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Patrick woke up with back pain, but he has work to do, so he took a leave. If he'd taken Tylenol, he'd be stopping for more pills right now. Only Aleve has the strength to stop tough pain for up to 12 hours with just one pill. Aleve, all day strong.
I've been trying to prepare for this day, and I'm still not ready. The reason I'm telling you this is that there will be moments in your life that you'll never be ready for. Your little girl getting married being one of them.
It's time for some straight talk. When it comes to wireless plans, everyone is different. Some people are big-time data users, others not so much. Straight Talk Wireless has plans of all sizes, like their newest, with the first 2 gigs of high-speed data for just $35 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data, all on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Big or small, everyone saves with Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts, only at Walmart.
Sandals. More quality inclusions than any other resorts on the planet. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
You're in the Match app. Okay. Now tap on the new Missed Connections feature.
It says I've crossed paths with Kate 6 times this week.
That is a lot of times.
She's cute, too.
Yeah.
How did I miss her?
You didn't. Match picked it up for you. Check out new Missed Connections on Match. Start for free today.
Florida on high alert as time runs out. Get up to the minute on the coverage on A Powerful Justice with Judge June, followed by a special live America's News headquarters.
Right arm, right leg. Left leg, left arm. Both legs above the knee. Both legs, part of my left hand. Lost both my legs in Iraq.
These 9/11 veterans are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and pull-down cabinets that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans, thanks to our donors and supporters. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
More than 6 million people ordered to evacuate across Florida. That is one of the largest evacuations in U.S. history, with more than 25% of the state's population ordered to evacuate. About 75,000 are riding out the storm in government-sponsored shelters today. Republican Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis joins us now, and you have referred to this storm, Congressman, thank you for joining us, as mammoth. And the ramifications, I don't believe every Floridian truly understand. Why don't you explain to our viewers why this storm needs to be taken so seriously?
Well, if you compare this to Hurricane Andrew, which is kind of the most famous one, Andrew's like a postage stamp compared to this in terms of the size. This thing, I think, will probably be as strong as Andrew by the time it goes over some of the warm waters in the Florida Straits. And the way it's currently tracking, going in southwest Florida and then moving up that coast, that's a very vulnerable part of our state. It's interesting. They've consistently moved this track further west. I left Washington early in the middle of the week to get down here. We were thinking it was an East Coast storm. I have an East Coast district. And you had people, the Florida Turnpike, 95, people are getting out of Dodge. Many people even went to the west coast of Florida. I actually thought about telling my wife and our daughter, hey, why don't you go stay with my parents who live in the Tampa Bay area. Now you have the opposite. So it's been a bit of a whiplash, but that current trajectory of the storm is going to do some significant damage. And I just think that people need to heed the orders of their local emergency managers and just don't take any chances with this thing.
When it comes to Irma, here is the biggest fear, the storm surge. It's the biggest killer along the coast. In fact, Irma's got fresh water flooding. That appears to be actually the least significant factor because storm surge, wind damage, those are the two greatest hazards here. So you need to take a look at these coastal areas. And it's not just the West Coast. I think a lot of people on the East Coast kind of think that they're in the clear because this thing has been sort of clocking westward. But in fact, the way that this hurricane works, that storm surge is going to be potentially deadly. I mean, it's life-threatening storm surge we're talking about here. Are the shelters at this point at full capacity? Is it too late for people to evacuate if they want to get out now?
It's not too late. There are some shelters that are at capacity. It just depends on which county you are and the circumstances. But listen to the governor. There are numbers that if you don't know where to go, you can call the number and they will help you do that. You got to do it soon, though, because once this storm really hits, you're not going to be able to call 911, have people go out in 120-mile-an-hour wind and save you. So do it now. You can do it. And you're right, Julie, about the storm surge. I mean, when you start talking about potentially 10, 15 feet in places like southwest Florida, you're talking about 7 to 10 feet in Tampa. Tampa Bay is just a bunch of water, around the whole area. And so that is community after community could be affected by that. And when that stuff starts happening, there's really nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It's just very, very devastating.
Something that's been incredibly confusing, first of all, tracking the storm. I mean, it has just been really tough for meteorologists to tackle ever since it went through the Caribbean. But those evacuees that actually heeded the warnings, especially in the Miami Beach area, many of them headed north-northwest. So they all went to Tampa. And now all the people in Tampa are being told basically they're going to be bearing the brunt of this. What do you say to the people that actually did heed the warnings and now they've actually evacuated to areas that are in a greater threat area?
Now, look, I think it's very frustrating for them. Yes, you had people evacuate to Tampa. You also had people flying from Miami to Atlanta. Well, guess what? If you're in Georgia, you're going to probably get this later in the week. Now, not as severe as South Florida, but it's going to be a significant storm. So that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. You got to look at the forecast and make your decision, but there's no doubt.
For example, nobody can come help you. So at this point, if you didn't evacuate, it's too late from at least the Keys.
Yeah, and it's hard for you to get out because if you're a lot of these areas, you got to go over bridges. And guess what? Once the wind starts to get 45, 50, 60 miles an hour, a lot of the bridges will just be shut down. You just may not even be able to go, even if you want to go. So now is really the time. If you're in that southern Florida area, if you're in Tampa, you got to make your plans and make your decisions. And one other thing, Julie. Communities, shelters, they will have arrangements for your family. There's a really terrible reports about people just leaving their pets behind, and that's just can't happen. You got to take care of these. You got to take care of them.
I'm really glad you talked to me. We're looking forward to Congressman Ron DeSantis. Thank you very much for talking to us as always.
Thank you.
He should know an awful lot about these storms, and listening to him based on the history he has in the Tampa area too, Jimmy. On the 70 sites on Florida, you can see that on the map. Officials warning everyone to get out of the way. Let Irma take her way home. Florida Governor Rick Scott, one of the voices telling people to evacuate. He will join Fox News Sunday, and Chris Wallace tomorrow to talk about Irma's impact.
Sí, hermano, me jode, puñeta,